Wherever you are, that's where we are, in your ear holes, and possibly eye holes if you have them open. I keep my eyes closed during, but you can do what you want. It's Anime FMK. We watched, what, 5 anime? Are we down to 5? Something
God,
like that.
I didn't check the list, but I'm pretty sure I watched all of the anime I'm supposed to watch this week.
Okay, well, we'll find out if anybody fucked up. Guys, I think we can pretty definitively say that somebody fucked up this week in Chio's School Road, but let's get into it.
What a Kabba-Disaster.
In Chio School Road, Episode 6, in Part 1, they double down on all the gross panty shit, and Comedy Girl goes full rapist. Lol wacky. In Part 2, Chio tries to do some Batman stealth shit to surprise Manana, but it's way harder than it is in video games.
Okay, can we just talk about the second bit first? Because I want to start this off on a positive note.
Second bit was real good. It was cute. It was kids being kids.
Yeah, that second
was great.
That second part has some great physical comedy. It has fantastic banter between Chio and Manana. I love this bit. It's exactly what I hope for with the show.
Yeah.
Just a little bit over the top, but still incorporating things that are like, nope, this is what kids do.
Yeah.
This is totally a couple of kids acting like assholes with each other.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And the way it just continually escalates and
Yeah.
works some character shit in there, too. It's not just all goofs all the time.
I love the fact that when Chio starts crying, Manana knows, okay, all right,
Yeah.
like, you're crying now. I know. That's like with your sibling, like, when you're starting to fuck around and they start crying, and you're like, oh, I fucked up. I went too far. It's too much.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's... I also, like, I love the fact that she jumps after her, and you, for a moment, you think, are they both going to go down? But nope, she locks her legs around that thing, and it's...
If I didn't try to do that shit as a kid before, like we would always go around buildings like in houses because we were in a upcoming neighborhood, so I had a bunch of houses under construction, and we'd always go there at night and fuck around with shit and climb up on the banister and everything and just fuck with each other all the time. Pull out our phones, like, oh, what are you doing? No, this will be fun.
Yep. That's how Darwinism used to work. You used to go risk your life as a kid, and the ones that survived the winnowing got to be adults. So that's Part 2. I don't know what else to say about it. It's real cute. It's the show at its best.
Yeah.
And now let's talk about the show literally at its worst.
It's absolute nadir as far as I'm concerned. That first part was gross, and I hated it.
Yeah, okay, look, I know that we come off as... We're liberals. We're liberal, we're leftist, we're progressive. We try not to go too far over there. We don't get offended by everything. That's not what we are. But this was fucking gross and weird. Why? Why is it okay for a girl to hold another girl up and then molest her? Like, just flat out, with the intention to do so.
Because you can't be a rapist without a penis, Scott.
Oh my God.
Without a penis, you are physically incapable. Nothing that you do is bad or problematic.
And then you had that old dude, the homeless dude, and his backstory could have been funny, secluded by itself. Like, I wanted to touch her now. Then I let my life went to shit.
The cut is what made me laugh. I was like, okay, that was fun.
Yeah, he was, but contextually, it gets grosser and weirder as it goes on with him. And again, Comedy Girl, in her first appearance, I was uncomfortable, but I still was able to move past it because the story surrounding it was funny, and she had one truly, like, ugh moment. The entire bit with her is gross and bad, and holy shit. Like, that whole scene where she's drooling, and it keeps playing that looping
Oh,
that
it
scene.
kept that going for a while.
That wasn't even funny when they were doing it, and they just kept hammering it home. And then when she captures Chio, it's like, no, this is not okay. If this were two dudes, I would be just as uncomfortable, if not more, because of the implications. You cannot... This is bad. This was a bad scene, and no.
This didn't bother me as much as I thought it would. It was definitely uncomfortable. I was looking, like, I watch everything with my girlfriend. We're just staring at each other like, like, what is this? What's happening? But the whole scene was, like, sexual, I guess. So it wasn't like the... It wasn't the thing that I had a problem with was like the voyeur thing. You're looking to peek at these girls doing nothing sexy, and you're seeing the sexy parts, right? Like her doing innocuous things and seeing panty shots. That's what bothered me.
Well, that's kind of more of an artistic viewpoint, though, of like that was not necessary. You're doing that to sexualize a non-sexy situation. That's
Yeah, and that's ultimately what would I ever like. That's usually what I would find offensive or anything.
I just can't find somebody getting molested funny.
That's what I'm gonna say. It's not. I didn't laugh. I did laugh when she had the cat face being put down. Good visual gag, made me laugh.
Well, I loved the scene where Chio attacks Manana and then does it to her.
Yeah.
But then it's not sexual. It's funny because they're friends, and she's like, "No, I'm gonna grope your butt," and she's like, "No, no, 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 no." And I'm like, you know what? They seem like they're physically comfortable enough with each other to do that. Also, when she hits her and she makes that face,
Yeah.
Okay, we're back to the funny.
Yeah.
But with Kabba Girl, that's why no.
Like, here's the thing. Like, is it offensive? Yeah, kinda. Am I going to blame you for not finding it offensive if you don't? No. But it's also just bad comedy. It is doubling down on a joke that I didn't find funny the first time and just stretching it to the point where I was both offended and bored. And one or the other would have been bad enough, but ugh.
Yeah.
I guess my only defense, is that if this was the whole episode, I'd be more upset. But the second half was great.
Oh,
so
no.
That's why I can be like, well, yeah, it had a shitty first 8 minutes. That happens.
If I had to be honest with you, it's really that segment where Chio shows up until that Kabba Girl leaves. That whole segment is the bad part.
Yes, everything else, like the beginning and the end of it, I liked.
Yeah, literally everything else in this episode was good. So I'm gonna hold this up, but we're probably gonna get another one of those scenes. I'm really glad the show is as funny as endearing as it actually turned out to be. Otherwise, this scene would have gotten a knife from me. No questions asked. Because again, I was offended and bored. If I am offended but I'm still laughing, it's not as bad. I might still be like, maybe stray away from doing that, but that was funny. Or if it was just boring but inoffensive, I'd be like, everybody has an off day. This was just...
Yeah, it's like the scene with in the bathroom episode. Like, yeah, that was a lot of gross panty shit, and that's kind of iffy, but it was so well constructed and funny that I was able to forgive it.
Yeah, you know what? Good comparison within the show itself.
Yeah, but that said... Like, you're right. It's not like this whole episode was a garbage fire. It had a lot of good in it. The whole second half was good. That, like, the first part of part one, where where the joke is, it's mountain training, but it's really she's like a block away from home, and she's treating this guy like this revered sensei when he's really this gross homeless man. Like, yeah, that all worked for me. That said, what works for me in this show, I've sort of gotten. I would welcome more of it, but not when every episode I've got to roll the dice and go, well, which Chio school road am I getting this week? The good kind that I like or that gross shit? So I'm kind of done.
Ah, damn. I was wondering. I was like, what is Ben going to hold up? And I'm not surprised.
Yeah. So that's a knife from me.
I mean, my decision was made after I watched it, but this isn't a problem for me. I don't really. Yeah, well, there you go. Thanks, Tyler. Thanks for doing it. Now, well, stop messing with the thing and mess with me later when the camera's off. But this didn't. It's gross. It's weird. I mean, the whole time I was just like, but it had a lot of really good shit, so I can look past it. I can take the sugar with the bitter if there's enough.
Yeah, and this was certainly not one of those. Oftentimes when I'm the sole knife, I'm over here like, you motherfuckers, god damn it. And I'm not. Like, I am not sad to see another episode because it might be good.
Yeah.
It might be. But it might also be awful. We'll see. But I do not blame either of you. Now, if you want to talk about bitterness and that anger that seethes inside you for weeks on end with no relief in sight, you got to talk about Happy Sugar Life. In episode 5, brunette waitress wants to be Pink Girl, but Pink Girl kisses her instead and then feels guilty about it, but Small Girl forgives her. It's a happy ending. What's that? It's not ending? Fuck my life.
Remember when I said last week that the show was boring me and that its sliminess had kind of run its course? Ooh!
This episode was like I can see if people thought the last episode was boring. I can't see how you could find this episode boring. You're on another planet if you didn't think this was entertaining.
This was so uncomfortable.
I know.
Oh
and
my God.
in the best way. My skin was crawling. I had goosebumps. I'm like,
like I hope
so good.
Yeah, because some of the point of the reason that we enjoy this show is we want to see how uncomfortable it can make us.
Oh, I know.
Leave that camera over there. I'm just doing my thing. I'm getting my stretches in. You guys talk. No, have fun.
The moment she went in for the kiss, I sat up in my seat and like,
Yeah, just like,
oh, shit.
bitch, what's happening now?
I did not expect that because I expected her. I didn't know what to expect when she was going into her bitter zone.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I know. Like, okay, what's the turn? What's the twist? What do we got?
And she kisses her, convinces her that she loves her, but she cannot continue to be like her, otherwise she won't love her anymore.
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh,
that's manipulative. I like it.
Oh my God, taking hints from her aunt, and I'm like, this is. Oh shit!
I love how well they work in the ant shit in this episode. Like how often you get to see like her like dealing with like the mirrored like in the beginning you see that mirrored scene of her going Sato-chan, I love you, and then you hear the echoing of her aunt in the background. I'm like, damn, this girl's fucked up.
Yeah, like I wasn't expecting this, and then we find out that I don't know the other girl's name, the one with the blue hair.
Yeah, it's her the other coworker, also classmate.
Fucking finds Pedo Bear.
Yeah, finds him, and that was so uncomfortable, and I loved it.
No, that scene is terrible. Oh my God.
And as soon as it happened, when she stepped on the poster, and he was like, "No, my angel!" I'm like, "Yes, this is an analogy for moe shit. That's all it is."
And
because it's just. I have paraphernalia of this lolly girl, and I love her, and she's pure, who's going to cleanse my dirty body. Like, that's exactly what they're doing.
And the response from her is like, what the fuck are you doing?
What is wrong with you? You fucking shut in. Why aren't you going to work? You're here looking at your fucking anime children, you goddamn idiot.
And then she's like, look, if you're gonna quit, just tell us.
Yeah.
That's all, bye. And I'm like, oh my God. How weird and uncomfortable that scene gets is just wow.
Yeah, that was a very uncomfortable scene in the best way. This, like, weirdly enough, I felt this was the more genuine reaction for it that I think it wanted, where I felt uncomfortable in what the show wanted from me, and like, ooh, that's unsettling. What's gonna happen? Like instead of me going like, what the fuck? Yes.
Yeah.
Instead I'm like, oh geez, ooh, in a good horror way.
I got like, as I said, the episode before this bored me, and that was, well, I'm now not only am I gonna hold up a knife, but I'm gonna hold up a knife because I just don't want to watch anymore. Oh man, look. This show has been a ride for me. But it is also one of those things where I feel uncomfortable saying I enjoy it because it's not so much enjoyment. It's this enjoyment at getting this feeling, this uncomfortable, greasy feeling, and I don't want to hold up an eggplant for that. I don't want to.
That's what good horror does. Good horror is supposed to evoke you. Any entertainment is designed to evoke something from you. Not everything has to be for pleasure. That's what I'm.
I do want to.
That's what it's about.
I want to know the person who watches a horror film for the pleasure of it, because that.
Like I listen.
Probably
to
Rob Zombie.
Yeah, probably. Like I listen to horror podcasts and listen to short stories and creepy shit and watch films with the intent of wanting to feel uncomfortable. Like that's why some people like going on roller coasters for the thrill of it. I'm terrified, so if I'm on there, I'm like, I'm going to die. I'm doing this because I know I'm gonna die.
Everybody, I want you to check out a film called Antichrist. It stars Willem Dafoe. It is one of the most unsettling, uncomfortable, and soul-wrenching movies that Vern Troyer's ever made.
Ooh, okay.
And the other one, oh God, there was another film that he made about a girl in prison that is even worse. But yeah, this evokes the same kind of feeling.
Yeah.
Because I can see that this is exploitative, it is provocative, but it does it very well. None of these people are good people. You are not supposed to learn anything from them. You're not supposed. This show is not saying this is the kind of person you should be. No, this is saying these are fucked up people doing fucked up things to each other.
Yeah.
So in that regard,
if you see any similarities here, this is your wake-up call.
Yeah, no. The only reason that I feel bad about any enjoyment from the show is that I don't want people watching this getting a sense of fulfillment from it. I don't want them to think that's the kind of life I want to live. I want them to look at that and think, oh my God, this is nuts, crazy, bonkers, gross, and I'm so curious where they go next.
And I don't think there's anything bad about that. I think there's something inherently beneficial to seeing something bad or something that you don't want. And I like a negative reinforcement of don't do this. It's not a bad thing. Also,
I'm sorry, Ben. I'm sorry. I can't meta this. I gotta give in to the fact that this is crazy, go bonkers nuts, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna watch next week. And if I can say here that I'm going to watch next week's episode to see where this goes, I cannot hold up a knife.
I'm glad you're voting with your heart. And what I want to say is, like, I'm not... People want to joke, like, oh, he's memeing. No, I fucking love this. This is fun. I'm having a great time. And I think that there's a lot of value that's, like... There's a lot of value to be had in something that makes you uncomfortable. I will consistently reiterate that the purpose of entertainment is to evoke something. You can get joy, which is one level. You can also... There's the comedy and the tragedy. There's a reason those were the initial forms, because those are just emotions they would evoke from you. That's a tragedy. Everything's bad. That's okay. We don't have a lot of tragedies in anime. Like, we don't have a lot of bad things. We like to feel all good inside when we sit back and watch shit.
I'm pretty sure we have a bunch of
No, we have a bunch of... We did have a bunch of tragedies. Yeah, there are. And I think that there is a lot of merit...
I can think of one that's happening right now.
And there's a lot of merit for... there's a lot of merit for tragedies that some people just don't like to watch. And that's fine. You don't have to. The world's shit enough as is. If you can't handle tragedies, don't watch it. But for me, this is fantastic. I love horror shit. This is one of the best horror shows I've seen in a while. Both in the insane levels of killing bites, insanity, action. This does to me horror. It's just over the top. It's insane. Rob Zombie basically directed this. Like, I can't wait to see what happens, and I love this kind of shit.
If Rob Zombie directed this, there would be way more dismembering.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
Again, this is more of a Vern Troyer sort of... And
this is hard candy.
Yeah. Oh, man, yeah, this is kind of hard candy.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. Like, there's... Some people don't like to watch that shit, and that's fine. That's okay. But I want you not to write it off.
Speaking of hard candy, can we talk about the opening?
Right?
Dude, that's actually in the running for my favorite opening this season. I love its visual style. I love the song. I love everything about it. It's one of the only ones I don't skip. That and Banana Fish's.
No, Banana Fish's opening is really good. Before we get to Ben's knife, I want to talk a bit about the visualization of anxiety in this episode that resonated so strongly with me. When she's talking to Chio, and she's like, I have to confess. I have to say I did this thing. I have to lie. And, like, just that overwhelming sense of dread and, like, the way they use the static background and the visual imagery of her being gone. I already visualized she has left me. I'm going to say this thing, but she can't talk. And she's like, there's just this suffocating, like, noise. You hear her heartbeat, and you hear this shrill static build up. I was like... That is the best depiction of anxiety in animated form I've seen in a long fucking time.
Yeah.
And it just really hit me. I'm like, damn, if I don't know what that feels like.
Yeah, again, one of the things that the show does is it continues to visualize these emotions, these concepts. Like, again, this is a very well-made and put-together show, which is why, like, if
it was any less...
Yeah, if this had poor production values, none of this stuff would work, and I'd have knifed. Like, I'd have been like, yeah, okay, I'm fucking done.
Yeah.
Because then it would have been boring and wouldn't have provoked anything from me. The fact that who's ever working on this knows how to hit these emotions.
They know what they're doing, and they fucking love it. They know, and I'm with you, dude. Whatever Japanese people in your cubicles, you're doing it good.
So, after watching 3 straight episodes, which had a long scene each devoted to a pedophile being a pedophile, I'm really glad, because I wasn't sure. I was feeling kind of on the fence about how I felt about pedophilia and what the show was trying to say about pedophilia. So I'm really glad they finally put an audience insert character in there for me to relate to finally, once and for all come out and say that pedophilia is in fact bad. I really needed that established for myself. And so that's what really prevented this from being redundant and pointless on top of being viscerally unappealing. So that said, I am going to raise a knife because I hate this.
Ben, I want you to know that I don't like making you suffer through this. I actually legitimately don't. But if we continue to get bits like that, I'm not going to feel that guilty.
So now that we're all finally agreed vis-a-vis pedophilia, let's move on to Revue Starlight. In episode 5, Antenna Head is jealous because Starhead is Crownhead's new best friend, so they fight about it. Crownhead wins, but everyone's friends again. Also, there's a giraffe. This may be the best episode yet of this show. By focusing in on, I'm calling her Antenna Head, by focusing on her character, I was just complaining last episode, like nobody has a stage mom, really, everybody's perfectly self-motivated. We get, it's kind of underplayed, but it's there. Oh, her grandma's kind of a stage mom. She's kind of not sure why she's there. Okay, I can follow along with that. The song at the end was maybe my favorite song they've done so far. It was legit catchy. I like the stage work. I actually sort of enjoyed my time with this episode.
That's in.
No, that makes total sense.
I also expected you to have a more positive response to this episode because it actually had more of a linear and easier to follow actual story.
This is the most forward of all of them.
Yeah, this one relied less on visual storytelling for her past. You actually get
you get to see it.
Yeah, and to that regard, yeah, no, that was good to see. I'm a little disappointed in that the way they kind of handle her conflict is a little too flippant and quick. Because this was sort of a big deal. She has a full-on crush on Cotton. There's no way around it. She's actually got feelings for her. And yeah, they're kind of like, yeah, but we can't spend too much time on that. Let's just push on through it.
Oh, so it's an anime.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like, let's just dangle just enough gay shit in front of you without actually getting into it, actually committing to what if this character was actually canonically gay, and let's deal with that.
Well, I think it's pretty obvious that, like, they're not just going to say it out loud, but if you...
Exactly.
Yeah.
It would be way more interesting if they did.
I feel like you'd have to stretch to see this as anything but, though.
But they always leave in just enough plausible deniability. Like, oh no, it's just there's just.
So they can enjoy it in China.
Although, can I just talk about, like, okay, so this isn't actually my favorite episode. In fact, by and large, this is one more in the middle for me. If only because I can now see where their production issues hit.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh.
Because
totally.
they repeat that footage 3 times in a row with like, and that could be pursued as a joke. Like, okay, you know what? For visual humor's sake, it's kind of funny that they literally repeat it 3 times in a row, and he's like 3 strikes, she's out. It's a cool visual metaphor, but it's just, you can tell where they're stretching.
Yeah.
And the fight here is not as over the top as the other ones. That being said, I like the context of the fight a lot.
I like what they do with Ben mentioned the stage work. I mean, it's pretty over your head, but I like the children's stage props, like the little cardboard stand-up shit. That was cool.
Yeah, and especially it plays, like, I also love that the beginning of her stage is kind of this idol stage. She's a singer. She's a performer.
Yeah.
I dig on that. Like, this is where the show is at its best, is when it uses all these visual metaphors to tell the story during these big old fights.
Yeah.
So in that regard, it does a lot of things right. It definitely is suffering under the weight of its own production problems right now.
I will also throw out there that the easiest, most cliche thing in the world would have been for Antenna Head and Starhead to fight over Crownhead's affections.
Yeah.
But that's not actually what the conflict is here. It is, hey, Crownhead, I want to keep you to myself.
I think they set that up too. I think they set it up like, because both her and Hikari get the message at the same time. And I'm like, oh shit, are they about to fight?
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yeah.
And then no, it's her and Kata, and I'm like, oh, that's way more interesting. Okay. And yeah, this is also, I'm not sure like if this was to save on money or if this was just the effect they chose, but I actually really like the starlight effect that they used in this episode.
Oh,
like
the little
the particles,
the
sparkles, confetti looking shit.
Yeah, I love that shit. I love sparkles and particles. I love that shit in my anime. I love when things get sparkly. After the Rain did stuff like that all the time with like these visual. Like I dig on that shit, and it looked really good here. I like their color choices. The color choices in this are so good.
Yeah.
Also, one of the best. I actually had to pause the video and rewind because I couldn't stop laughing at a scene. It's so they do this joke 3 times in a row. They play to the and it's when the first time when she stuffs her head into the pillow. And then you see he got in behind her. It's like, I forgot something. And she yells and throws the pillow. Yeah. The second time she does it is that she's got the towel after Cotton's, wiped her brow. And she's got this like, oh my gosh, it's got her sweat on it. And then, Hikari is right next to her, walks away, breaking her concentration. She throws it right into the face of that other girl.
Yeah.
I lost it. Like at first I was like, yeah, it's a little gross, but the moment she throws it, I'm like, oh god, okay, that was worth it for that.
I will throw this out there. I did not know that the girl with the antenna hair and Sleepy Girl were the same person until like halfway through this episode.
What?
I gotta admit, I didn't know either.
Because she doesn't have the hair antenna when she's just gotten out of bed.
They're not the same character. I can show you a full like cast.
What?
Hold on, no.
This show's the worst.
No,
fuck this show. Seriously, no, because she's her roommate and she wakes up and
she sleeps in and she's
Yeah.
sleepy.
Wait. Oh, Cotton's. Oh no, there are 2 sleepy girls. One that sleeps.
Why are there 2 sleepy girls?
No, there's one sleepy girl.
Okay,
Mahiru is the girl in the bath.
Okay,
right?
the fact that it's confusing enough that we're having this conversation means this show fucked up.
Wait. Hold on. Who do you think Sleepy Girl is?
She's
Antenna Head.
Yeah, Antenna Head, Crown Head's roommate.
Mahiru, who the episode was just about.
Yeah.
I need to double check something. Because
I think that's the point they were making.
That is Sleepy Girl.
No.
That is Mahiru.
I don't think it is.
Yeah, you can't do this show if you've got a character whose only, design-wise, her only distinguishing characteristic is 2 little hair antennas. You can't have scenes where they don't have that thing. It's confusing, and I hate you. Fuck you.
I don't know if it's her.
I am 100% certain that the girl who's always sleeping at her desk is.
I don't know who that is.
No,
and I don't care.
I'm talking about who we see in the bath, right?
Yeah.
Girl in the bathtub, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, we were following the same
Yes.
blue-haired character all episode that I thought was 2 different people because they changed her design.
Oh, so
She loses the hair antenna like right after she's woken up. Apparently that's an unintentional thing that she does when she gets ready.
yeah, but she's never the Sleepy Girl.
Yeah, she is.
Yes,
she
she
was
is.
talking all episode about how
She wants her to sleep in, and she's
Yeah.
like,
How she wants Cotton to sleep in because one of the
she sleeps in and she wants to sleep with her,
Right?
in with her, something like that.
But one of the one of the running themes like with her is that she's always the one who has to wake Cotton up and get her out of there. And then the person who comes in with Sleepy Girl all the time is Tomboy. Tomboy comes in with Sleepy Girl all the time. That like I have followed that well enough. In fact, there's a scene with the girl who's always sleepy in the bath with Mahiru in that episode where
Okay, I don't give a shit, so it's no surprise that I'm not following this bullshit, but Kieran does, so if he doesn't get it either, that's a problem.
yeah,
I gotta say, I'm with Ben here. I thought this was like, oh, they're the same person. Her antennas are gone in the bath. Cool, glad I knew that.
yeah, except for the fact that there's always the girl who's sleepy at her desk who never has the antenna.
Who's apparently is a different person. Could have fooled me,
It's
because all of these characters are interchangeable and I hate them.
There's not enough people giving yeses or nos to Ben, so I have no idea either.
No, this is like, I think this is indicative of just a larger problem with the show, is that the a lot of the characters have same face going on.
Little
and, like,
bit.
It's a very modern trapping to have that, and their only distinguishing feature is their hairstyle and color. That is just the anime way to distinguish how people look. And
Which is fine as long as you're consistent
Sure,
with
whatever.
it, which this show isn't, so fuck this show.
and
Sorry, go ahead.
when you have like 9, 10 girls that you need to keep track of.
There's a lot of girls.
Yeah, there's
Look
a
at all,
lot.
Look at all those girls.
Yeah, that's a.
Do I have to?
Apparently,
I just
it's
spent 20
two
minutes
different
doing that.
characters, and they had a conversation in the bath like 2
Yeah.
episodes ago.
Well, then I
Yeah, that.
I don't know.
must have missed that, or because I thought I was like, oh wow, okay, so that's who that is. I had the same revelation you did.
I don't know how you could, because in the first episode, the sleepy girl comes in after Kaden and Mahiru.
Oh, so I had to be paying attention to one scene in the first episode in the show that does nothing to make me want to pay attention to it. Don't know how I could have missed that.
Hey, look, it's not the show's fault if.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. It is 100% the show's fault. The show's job is to make me give a shit. It fails at that. That's the show's fault.
I disagree with that. I don't think a show's job is anything. I think it's the watchers.
It's to make me want to keep watching.
No, I think it's the watcher's job to want to decide if they care or not.
Oh, I decided that
And
Yeah,
then,
five
and
weeks
exactly.
ago.
So
Yeah, and
I
which-
don't think a
which
show
I don't
has a
think-
job.
I don't necessarily think your criticism holds up so well when you're obviously tuned out to this show.
Yeah. And whose fault is that? A show's any piece of entertainment, of art, of literature, its first job is to make you want to keep going. Because if it fails at that, nothing else it does matter.
I absolutely disagree with you, because I
Yeah.
am wholeheartedly still into this, so it's doing its job for me. It didn't work for you. It didn't want to
Okay, that's a 50%. That's a failing grade.
at this table. What do you think?
I just don't think it's constructive to see things like black and white like that. Well, that's just me. I'll be over here in my little corner.
I think he's right. I think that if you look at like entertainment or art in general is never supposed to appeal to everybody. And to try and do so is to degrade what the art means to the person. Well, I'm not saying you should.
How does having muddled character designs that are easily confused, how does that help it appeal more to anybody?
Like, I can definitely say that I had a little bit of trouble at first telling, okay, wait, which one is, and specifically with those two characters, because one of them has this kind of bluish purple hair, the other one's just got full on blue hair, and that was confusing for me, because the one with the purplish blue hair is the person that this episode centers around, the one that's had a crush on Kaden the whole time. The one with the full-on blue hair is Sleepy Girl. And the only way that I was able to make that distinction is that the little flippy things were the easiest to know, like, okay, that's her.
And then they take those away.
Except for the fact that I'm not an idiot and I can follow where the scene goes. I can follow the context clues. I can tell, like, wait a second, why are we focused on her in this scene?
Are you telling me that you need a very high IQ to appreciate this show?
Yes!
And oh my god, I'm so glad you said that, because somebody in Discord said that same thing, and oh man, it was
Wait, about
so
Revue
funny.
Starlight?
Yes.
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
Oh, shout outs to you, dude. You know who you are. And yeah, it's just like,
By the way, I'm not calling you an idiot.
No, you just called me an
Yeah,
idiot.
you called him an idiot.
You literally just called me an idiot. You don't get to walk that back.
I'm walking it back with an apology. I'm
look,
sorry.
Okay.
on art, I think that I don't think it's ever a piece of anything's job to make you care, because it is up to your investment how much you want to give it. And I think you give it X amount of time, hence like the 3-episode rule. I'm in this for 5 minutes, then I'm out, and that's different for people. And I think you could give more investment to it. Ben couldn't follow who anybody was in the first 5 minutes and said, fuck it. And I don't think that's bad.
I think it is possible for art to be good and still inaccessible. I think it would always be better if it were more accessible to more people. Because that is the point of art, is to
No!
speak-
Do not do that. That is not the point of art. The point of art is artistic expression of oneself and mastered to the best extent that they can.
Then why release anything to anybody? Bury it in a box and let it rot in the dirt if all it is a masturbatory exercise for yourself.
Art is a masturbatory.
Art, it's kind
it
of
is
a little
wholeheartedly masturbatory. It is supposed to be the expression of oneself through art, mastered to the best extent that they possibly can. You cannot say
Oh,
man.
I just did, and I can, and I will for the rest of my life because you're wrong, my friend.
This has been my favorite episode.
No, because I think you ascribe to the layers of meaning stuff. That art is just a lesson that is obfuscated by things, and you have to get down to them to find whatever that one sentence lesson is. Whereas I think Scott, and more so myself, there doesn't have to be anything down here. It's here's all this shit. You figure out what it means.
I think that can be good. That can be interesting. That can be fine. I have to give a shit first.
Exactly, and I don't
that's why
think
that is the first responsibility is hook the reader. Make them give a shit. Give them something to be invested in.
I'm hooked. I'm invested. I like this.
Mm-hmm.
So it is effective for me. It is good for me. And I think that if they had done things differently than they are now, I don't know if I would be into it. I can wholeheartedly say that one of the appeals of the show is something that doesn't appeal to you.
Okay,
so
that's
but if they had changed that, then it would have been less effective, and I would not like it as much.
Now, that works for some things, like the layers of meaning, the visual storytelling that appeals more greatly to you than to me. Then, yeah, that's an honest difference of opinion. The antennas, making character designs easy to follow, you lose nothing by keeping consistent with that. You lose nothing by making your characters easy to tell apart.
There was at no point did she lose the antenna that I could not tell due to context clues of where the story was going and how the scenes lined up, who that was.
And did you say, thank God that she lost that antenna for this scene? That improved my experience so much, that enriched it so much that they did this thing that made Ben lost.
I didn't notice it. It didn't occur.
Exactly.
It had no emotional resonance with me because
Exactly. It didn't matter to you, but it mattered to me. There was this thing that they could have done by making their characters more visually distinct from one another that would have improved my experience and done nothing to degrade yours. It is a worse show because they didn't do that.
So yeah, they're two different characters.
I mean, I believe you.
it's fine.
That's a double fuck, by the way. Surprising no one. Guys, let's talk about Banana Fish.
Let's talk about Banana Fish.
In episode 6, Ash's dad is an asshole, but his stepmom is nice. So of course when Dino's men attack, it's the stepmom who dies and the dad who lives. There's a lot of tragic backstory and a clue that leads the group to LA, but Papa Dino makes a deal with the Chinese mafia to moon them. There's a silly bit at the end where they're talking about the hunter's moon or something like that. It's one of those little pieces of symbolism that doesn't really mean much of anything but doesn't detract either.
Oh yeah.
does this manga kind of know how to write people? Human beings, like actual human beings?
Are you talking
not-
about the dad saying,
Yeah.
just shut up and take it, and not, I will get my gun and murder that man myself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
Like
That was rough.
Like, look, I can believe a father like that might exist.
Yeah.
I can heartedly believe that. I would murder that man if I were his son.
Yeah, that's the thing. They then try to turn it around and make you care again.
Yeah, talking
and-
about walking shit back. Yeah, it's like, yeah, no. The moment that you don't go out there to protect your son from this man, you are a monster. Like, you are an irredeemable monster. And then they try and have some kind of emotional resonance between Ash and him, and I'm like, no, absolutely not. Like, I wish he'd have died and Jennifer had lived.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot. And no, you don't get to recognize, like, she was good. Why did the good die first? No, fuck you. Like,
Yeah, because you wrote it that way.
yeah, because like I can understand that innocence dying. You know, that is a compelling plot point. It's totally cool to do that, but don't make me feel like I should even give even the smallest shit about this father figure. No, he let his son get molested and told him to suck it up, and then Ash goes back there and, oh, you know, don't die, you crusty old man. No, fuck him.
Yeah, actually die, though.
Yeah. Like, I like scenes in this show. I like characters in this show, but this show wants to do things it is so fucking ill-equipped for, and it's
Yeah.
nuts.
And it's rough when anytime they want to go for more pathos, they go for the lowest hanging fruit, which is, oh, turns out he was raped more. That's
It was a real poor way to write, to explain how he kind of got into that or like got into the situations he found himself in, and that nothing happened. I was like, yeah, what the fuck? What happened with the dad? Did nobody find anything with this? No, dad just said, suck it up. Excuse me? What? But make sure you make him pay for it later, son. I'm going to chug a beer. I mean, if you want to play that, sure, whatever. If you want to go by if you want to structure a story and say whatever, it's the job of fiction to portray what if anything existed, what if this happened, and say that sure, someplace this person happened. But it's hard to follow that consistently when it's supposed to be grounded in the real world, and I can't find a person like that
yeah. It's
happening.
on a slightly different tip. It is also hard for me to care about these characters when they're fucking idiots and when they keep saying, "Hey, do you think Dino's men might attack us here?" "Oh, probably not." And then they do, because of course they do know that when you have no more ground to go to, you will go to your last known residence.
Which then gets 2 people killed.
Yeah.
Or at least and it gets an innocent person killed, and the guy who totally should be fucking 6 feet under just wounded. And it's like, this is, god damn it.
I also liked how AG was mortified, and what's his face was like, "Don't look, you can't handle it." And then the next scene, he's fine. Like I feel like there's just a lot of amateurish interpretations of like realism here, or like what would happen in these scenarios that don't play off very well for what's supposed to be a crime drama, which kind of relies on it being logically consistent, and it's kind of flubbing a lot of that. That said, I do want to say I don't want to be all down on it, because I feel like I've been the most positive on the show. I think it's still, when it's good, I think it's still really good. I think it looks fantastic. I love it in motion. I like him showing AG how to use a gun. I think Ash is still a pretty compelling character. I like him. I like Max. I like the crew that we have. And they're in LA now, and that LA like scene looked pretty rad. I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah. I feel it. I feel the excitement. What's going to happen in LA?
The show is visually appealing.
Yeah.
Did you see how many shots that were in this that were just like, you didn't need to animate
No,
that
you didn't
well,
need to animate
but
all
you
that
did.
shit. I know.
Yeah. It was more of a moment of snark than an honest criticism, but I did have to turn to my girlfriend and say, as they have that last scene, "Hey, do you know how to get to LA?" "Oh, you're there." And they go over the hill, and there's, the beautiful cityscape is, wow, it's kind of weird that all of our smartphones that all of us have in this anime set in the current year, none of them have Google Maps and did not tell us how close we were. That's kind of strange. But
I told you, updating this the current year was a mistake. They should just have left it in 1985. They could have done that without losing anything.
yeah, I mean, that didn't actually bother me too much.
Oh, it bothered me. It bothered the hell out of me. That makes no sense.
What if they don't have any battery?
None of
What if
them.
their phones
None
are
of the 20 of them.
all dead?
It's
like 6.
yeah. None of the 6 of them in this truck that probably has a cigarette lighter. But hey.
Yeah, no, I
Remember when cigarette lighters in cars were used to light cigarettes?
I do, and now they're just
Yes.
power ports.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know anybody who's actually got a cigarette lighter in there anymore.
Yep.
Now they're just used to light blunts.
Like degenerates.
I want to have now I want to get one of those electric cigarette lighters that charges through USB.
Oh my God.
Plugged into the USB, which lives in my cigarette lighter in my car.
Next level.
Yeah.
This is
Galaxy brain.
Yeah, this is go back in time. Y'all living in 1994?
Yeah, it's hard to decide what to do with an episode like this, which, like you say, is in a show that's been pretty strong, has also been a mixed bag, and this episode just collects some of the worst elements of it. And I think I have more patience for something like this. Like, Chio's this week was not entirely the same, because there was more strong in this week's Chios than
Yeah.
in this week's Banana Fish, I think.
I'd agree.
But I think there's a difference between an episodic show and an arc story show like this one, where in an episode show, I'm always wondering, is this going to be good or bad? That is kind of the only two settings
Yeah.
in this episode. This is like, an individual episode can still be bad, but if I'm still invested in the larger story and arc and characters, I'm more inclined to give it a pass and hope that it gets better next week.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna hold up this eggplant because I'm not ready to write this show off yet. Maybe I should be, but I'm not. So I gotta vote with my heart.
I've been on the razor's edge for this one for a while because, quite frankly, I like its visual style, I like its characters, and I like some of its situations. But I cannot excuse the mishandling of the subject matter here to this extent. Like, it's already done it kind of poorly in the past. I've kind of hand-waved it because its focus wants to be more on, like, yep, this shit happens, and you kind of deal with it the best that you can, and you move on, and this was just, no, thank you. I can't do it.
Yeah,
Yep.
I don't blame you.
I think ill-equipped is a good word for this show when talking about its subjects. I think I'm more interested to see what it does, though, than I am upset with its amateur handling of humans. I'm still curious to see what it wants to do, and having a new setting
Yeah.
that's already intriguing enough to me to see, okay, what are these characters that I enjoy going to do in this new place?
Well, that is a double fuck for Banana Fish. It lives to fish another day. Which leaves us free to move along to Planet With. In episode 6, Gurren Lagann happens, only shorter, shittier, less coherent, and with less likable characters.
Oh my God, Ben!
Alternate plot synopsis. Here I come, Nekos hold me back, tired of holding back, I'm about to let the dragon attack. Who? You. So get out my way. It's a new millennium, it's a brand new day. Bugged out Nekos, thugged out Nekos, I don't really care, you're all my Nekos. I'm about to let the dragon out. Nah, 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 nah.
I loved this. This was all cylinders firing, had me slamming my chair, going, had me audibly go, yes! The second they were flying up into the sky. I'm like, oh, God. This is, I will say it again, this is why I watch anime specifically, because these types of stories work nowhere else. Maybe a video game. It is basically Gurren Lagann, but I am enthralled with the idea that the person who is ostensibly the hero of any other shonen hot-blooded anime is the bad guy, and that wanting to be so strong that you save everyone isn't great. And hot damn if I don't love the moral of kindness is more important than justice.
I like that moral in theory. Obviously, there's a whole lot of stuff stylistically that I don't like about this show that you do that's just going to be one of those honest difference of opinion things. But, you know, honestly, I'm probably getting more out of this show talking about it with you week to week than I would be otherwise, because I am seeing these themes that would just go right by me because the aesthetics don't appeal to me.
Yeah.
But in this case, you say the protagonist of any other anime would be the one who wants to get strong enough to protect anybody. Because the antagonist here is such a Lex Luthor type. He is such a stock. I haven't even watched all of Evangelion, and let's get real, he's the bad guy from Evangelion. He's Shinji's dad.
No,
He's the corporate overlord, wants to lead humanity, by which I mean be the unquestioned dictator of humanity. He's a pretty stock character. And that idea that kindness is better than power, that it's okay not to be the strongest, would resonate harder if the ultimate solution to overcoming this antagonist wasn't punching him in the face. That scene in Gurren Lagann worked because ultimately Gurren Lagann was maybe done better than a lot of those shonen I've got to be the best shows, but it was still basically that. I've got to be super strong and get all this power, and anybody who's trying to hold me down is bad, and I'm going to overcome them. Like, it worked. That final scene where all of this, this technology, this stuff has all it's served its purpose, but now it's just me and you, fist hitting face. That all works with the theme. Here it works at cross purposes with the themes it's trying to do, and I think that's kind of a problem. And hopefully this show is smart enough to acknowledge that and like deal with that in future episodes. Like maybe it does that, and that would be great. And I would give this show a lot of props for being smart enough to say, hey, we kind of had one hand not knowing what the other was doing thematically there. Let's deal with that conflicting theme. I hope it does that. I kind of don't trust that it'll do that.
No, you're totally right with that, and that's what, because I felt the same thing with him going and like punching him, like, okay, so we're doing Gurren Lagann shit, but the thing that caught me the most was right afterward. We see he has died, and he's like, oh fuck, I have done something bad, and he internalizes that. I don't think he says anything, but like you can tell on his face, he's like, oh shit, I did that. And you see his brother, he sees an image of his brother, and he looks very disappointed. And I was like, oh shit. We still have like 6 episodes more to go, and already the main plot point we've been served has been accomplished. So this show is not done with what it wants to say. Yeah. So I think insofar as that concern is, I think it's absolutely valid. I have faith that it's going to address it because there's been this setup that, oh, he died. That was not a good thing. That didn't need to happen.
Yeah, I love the look on his face.
Yeah, he's just like, what the fuck? That's not what I died for, you little shithead.
Yeah.
That's at least the context I got.
Well, I meant Kuroi's face, but yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I will also say that what I did like was that and I've said that this is something that I kind of don't like in anime in general, is these big bombastic speeches where in the middle of taking swings at you, I'm going to explain my whole dumb philosophy of life, the universe, and everything. That said, the fact that the more he explained, like, hey, this is what I'm doing this for, by he, I mean the Lex Luthor looking guy.
Yeah, yeah.
The more he's talking, the more you're realizing, oh, your problem is not, oh, they're holding us down, how dare they? Yeah. Your problem is, I want to be the one holding everybody down. I want to be the one with a monopoly on physical force in this world.
Yeah.
I do like how he calls out the aliens when he's fighting them. He does not believe them. He's inferring, like, no, this is what you're doing. You are trying. If you don't think that's subjugation, then you're fucking wrong.
Yeah, and Doggo got off a pretty good point, which is, okay, if you think taking a loaded gun from a child is subjugation, like that is something that I've been struggling with, like, a lot, talking to my mentor, like, thinking about the nature as I am being called upon to lead this company. What is the nature of leadership?
Yeah.
What is, when should you be like forming a consensus and talking it through with everybody? And when should you be saying, no, I'm the one who needs to make this decision. I'm sorry if you disagree with it, but guys, here we go. This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
So, and the fact that it was left kind of thematically open-ended, like, hey, here's these two characters exploring this and exploring their differences. And I didn't feel like it really came down on a side.
I didn't think so either.
And I thought that was to this episode's credit.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I like that they just left, and so because that's what has me interested, is that they didn't resolve this, and there's clearly that disconnect with, Kuroi's out here killing everybody or fucking up robots, but Sensei's like, it's about kindness, or like the old man is the one who said that, and he's the one who just said, I'm done.
I'm also wondering if our Justice Rangers or whatever the hell their names were, if they are going to actually be characters that interact with Kuroi moving forward. I feel like you'd almost have to, because they've all got interesting parts of them. I like all of their characters. They're all distinct and defined, which is good. So it'd be really nice to see more of them as we move forward in the next 6 episodes. I don't know. because this is ostensibly still an action show. I don't have no idea what the next conflict could possibly
I know,
be.
and that, yeah.
Yeah, and that is, I mean, it's a trap that's easy to fall into, is not going any deeper than this episode got. Like, hey, kindness is good, but still punch people, though.
I guess with everything that it's led up to, because I guess I noticed this by episode 2, was that the aliens are telling people it's okay to be weak, and that there is a clear through line narratively that it is okay to not be the one that punches people, and it's okay to not be the one who is intimidating to everybody, and that has not resolved yet. So they're not just going to drop that. I have to imagine they can't just drop that. But
It's I mean,
they totally could. They could totally fuck it up. But I guess I have more faith.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't imagine they're just going to drop it entirely. I could totally see them just not really, because right now the problem is nobody is practicing what they preach.
Yeah.
Like, they're saying, hey, it's okay to be weak, but what they're really saying is it's okay for you to be weak because we're over here being strong.
Yeah.
And I could see that tension just never being resolved, and that would be a problem for me.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we'll see.
There's a lot of setup here. And that's kind of one of the detriments to the show for the average viewer, is that a lot of this is set up. A lot of it feels like it's setting up to make these big thematic twists or turns with, you know, the characters, their ideologies, their story. And I have never read any of this guy's manga, the guy who's writing the screenplay for this. But they're all really acclaimed. And it's one of the reasons, it's actually, which is a shitty reason to kind of hand wave some stuff and be like, no, I want to see where this is going to go. But to that extent, it has helped me kind of deal with some of the fact that, like, yeah, a lot of this seems like build up, or a lot of this seems kind of maybe even rushed a little bit. So, but the questions it raises are curious questions, are interesting questions. The emotional points that we've gotten so far have been very good for me. And I'm saying it like this because this episode actually wasn't that good for me. I actually kind of was more middle of the road, largely because it was a lot of action. And if I had to be honest with you, the action in this show is not the reason I tuned into it. It's not terrible, but I'm actually more into why they're fighting. And that is and in this episode, it didn't ring as interesting that it rang the bell with you guys. For me, I was more middle ground. But I'm very curious where it's going to go next. Obviously, I'm going to pull up an eggplant here because, it's still Planet With. I like its characters. I like its themes. And, yeah.
I am so, because for as much as I love my mecha shit, we've constantly had stories of just be the strongest one, be the best pilot, be the best XYZ. Oh, it sucks that kids are the best ones. Isn't war bad for children who are good at robot fighting? This one's interested in something completely different, and I want to see where that goes.
Yeah. I've really enjoyed talking to you guys about this here today. I'm still not particularly enjoying my time actually sitting down and watching the show. So I'm going to hold up this knife, but more so than usual, there's some shit on this list that we've had that conversation. I think it's actually bad art. I've turned a corner on this show where I can honestly say, not in that placating way, I think this is bad, but I just don't want to argue about it anymore. No, I honestly think this is actually doing some good things that are maybe just not for me. So yeah,
I think it's a very niche thing. This is for people that are fans of a certain thing, like me. This is for me.
Yeah, so that is, in fact, a double fuck for Planet With this week. And you know what that means? That means list is done and nothing dies this week. I think it's all been double fucks all the way down the road.
Yeah, it's a bloodless week this week.
Yeah.
I'm happy. I mean, I haven't given out a single knife. I'm happy with it.
Yeah,
I really I feel like I've been liking most of this season more than everyone else. I feel like everyone else is real mad. I like it.
Yeah, I think
if we haven't paid attention, we're still I'm still handing out the eggplants to the shows that I don't know. I like at least 4 of the shows on this list.
That's
well
good.
enough to continue watching them.
That's good. You eggplanted Happy Sugar Life. And that's really all that mattered to me.
Don't remind me.
No, I won't
regret
remind you.
I
There's nothing to regret. There's nothing to regret. You want to see where it goes? Horror's cool. Watch it. Have fun. Squirm with me.
Well, you can continue to squirm with us next time, but before we sign off, today, guys, we've talked about a lot of deep shit. We've gotten really emotional and passionate about a lot of shit today. I think that is good. Guys, I want to hug it out. Can we hug it out? Tug it out.
Oh, okay. Come on, Tyler.
Get in.
I wanna hug you. Come on, Tyler.
Oh, okay. Yep.
We have to get in here. You gotta come around.
Yep.
You gotta come around.
Just make sure that doesn't get stepped on.
gotta
There we
come
go.
around.
All right, everybody, hug it out. Group hug. Into Aladdin. Group hug. I don't know if anybody heard any of what we just said because we were up away from the microphone, but that's okay.
That's fine.
The words are not important.
No.
It's I don't like yelling at anybody, but when we're talking about art, when we're talking about the construction of art, and the purpose of art, that is something I'm incredibly passionate about. Yep.
I wouldn't change a damn thing. If we could talk about shit like that every episode, I'd be really happy.
And it's also, yeah, and sometimes in the heat of that moment, you can get away and you say things, and yeah, I'm sorry, I called you an idiot.
It's all right.
I did not mean to phrase it like that, but it's the first word that came to mind as I was trying to construct the sentence I wanted in my head. And then at that point, I was like, well, I just called Ben an idiot, which I obviously don't think you are. Otherwise, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. And I'm sorry that I yelled about my passion. I still believe in it, but thank you for understanding that. Yes. These kind of things can happen. We're friends. And
It's all good. It's all good. All right. We will see if it's all good next week, or if we, as soon as these cameras are off, have a knife fight, and you'll see who the winner is, who the gods favor with this trial by combat by seeing who survives to next week. See you guys.